And joining us now is, from Chicago, Dr. Daniela Schreyer. She is a forensic and clinical psychologist joining us. Also, we have Dwayne Cates, who is live from the Maricopa County Courthouse in Phoenix, Arizona, a leading defense lawyer in this jurisdiction. And Mike Brooks, in session law enforcement analyst and contributor. Welcome to everybody. Dr. Daniela Schreyer, you are the expert here as a forensic and clinical psychologist. So I first want to ask you just your impressions of Jodi Arias as you watch her, because she's quiet, she seems frail, she's not that tall, but yet she admits to doing things that I think most of us maybe wouldn't have the strength to do or can't dream of doing, almost decapitating someone. What is your assessment as you just watch Jodi Arias?
Well, just reading her story, I would say she's not a psychopath. That's my assessment, okay? And just from the documents, I don't think she has a mental disorder. I do think that she has some very strong personality traits from the cluster B. This is erratic and dramatic. And I think they contributed probably to the murder. And if I can explain it, I think she has a quiet borderline personality organization. This type of person is very normal at the beginning. Actually, they like to very much be a chameleon. They fit in very well. You look at her story. She met this young man. She was in a long-year relationship, and she left that relationship. She thought, that's actually maybe my future husband. He only would marry a Mormon girl, so she actually converted her religion. She was physically very attentive to him and probably also agreed sexually to many things that she thought would bring her her price. And these people initially functioning quite highly, you won't see the rage, but it comes up once they don't get what they want. When she found out that her beloved, actually Mr. Alexander, maybe was not in a one-on-one relationship, she found the text messages, etc. This was the time when the rage actually came up, the envy, and also the fear. The fear of abandonment, as we see it normally in people with borderline personality traits. And this is why she engaged with him, maybe sexually, but she could hold on to him. The envy was actually shown when she was kind of a stalker and trying to find out who else he was seeing now. And also, Jean, the rage, when she was slashing his tires, that was what was reported. And so her personality slowly breaks down. She has some narcissistic traits because on one hand, she's afraid of him leaving her, but then she also says, who are you to do this to me? If we are trying to get behind her eyeballs, we would see, how can he do that to me? He's abusing me. I did everything I could to please this man. And so over time, she uses sex to keep him close.
I am hearing things you are saying that can help the defense. I can see their expert take the stand to say exactly what you're saying. Now, I want you to watch this. I want you to watch Jodi. This is an interview she did with KTVK, and she talks about that she doesn't know if she could ever really forgive the person responsible for Travis Alexander's death. Let's all listen, and I want your response to this.
When I think of the ones who are capable of doing this, you know, I like to think that I could be the bigger person, and, you know, what I believe, and this is something that comes from my faith, my religion, is that it's commanded of us to forgive all people. And I don't know that I would be big enough to stand before the person who did this and say, I forgive you. I don't think I'm ready for that by any means, but I think that one day I'll reach that point as I grow and develop.
All right, with us, everybody, out of Chicago is Dr. Daniela Schreyer. She is a forensic and clinical psychologist. Here is Jodi Arias. This is 3 months, Dr. Schreyer, after she stabbed, slit the throat, shot in the head Travis Alexander, and she's saying she doesn't know if she could ever forgive the person, the other person that may have done this. What is your assessment of her saying that?
Well, I think it's very interesting because I think it was a catathymic homicide, and so I think she murdered. Her motive was rage and anger, rejection. She couldn't take it anymore. Potentially, there was a straw that broke the camel's back that he told her he might go to Mexico with another girl. She actually had so much tension, emotional tension, and the rage was there. She killed him. She doesn't have a prior criminal history. And in the aftermath, or the post-murder, she was very aware what she has done. I think now she's scrambling actually to get her story together, And certainly she has a couple of traits that we would say are psychopathic, right, or antisocial, very glib, superficial. She looks like an angel and is yet accused of have committed a devilish crime. So I think now she tries to portray herself that it would be even hard for her to forgive, but ultimately knowing that she potentially did it, she said also, Jean, that maybe ultimately she should get there or could get there. And so I think that's what she wants to portray also to other people. Look, it happened. Over time, we all can forgive and forget, but that's not the case.
You know, Dr. Schreyer, a lot of people look at her and see traits of Casey Anthony, and one of those is she just can't tell the truth. And Dr. Schreyer, she seems to lie when she doesn't have to lie. I want to show you this, and I want your assessment about her lies. She told a friend that she had all these cuts on her finger right after she had been killing Travis while working at Margaritaville, a Mexican restaurant where she lived. But a former detective says there's no Margaritaville restaurant where Arias lived. Listen to this.
She had 2 small bandages, it seems like, on one of her fingers, or a couple of her fingers.
What did she tell you about those cuts?
She worked at Margaritaville, and I guess she broke a glass.
In Wairika, is there a business establishment, a bar, a restaurant, by the name of Margaritaville?
No, sir.
So there is no restaurant by the name of Margaritaville there?
No, sir.
All right, Dr. Schreyer, you could lie. You could give some reason for the injuries and the Band-Aids on your finger. You wouldn't have to mention a restaurant that doesn't even exist. What's your assessment of that?
Well, I would say that once she had actually killed him, right, I don't think she planned very much beyond that. That was her catharsis. She now feels relieved. She felt much better because the object of her obsession was actually dead. And now all these questions come up. And there's a couple of things. Well, it doesn't matter anymore if she makes up the restaurant. She has to find an explanation for the cuts. But then ultimately, too, if you want to go down the traits of psychopaths, for example, pathological lying, which, again, I don't think she displays that. It's just these people would tell you anything in front of your eyes, and you could even see that it's not true. They would go on and tell the next untruth in a second. So for me, she just makes it up as she goes. And when she feels that her stories don't fit, she just goes to the next. We see that in politicians, sorry to mention that, right? There's no shame mechanism at that point. She just clings on to something.
She's got to think fast, and I guess that's what comes to her mind. But why Margaritaville, we won't know.